Hey YouTube, Kira Twig here, bringing you all an update to my Sunavalon Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck profile for post-Lightning Overdrive. We were given some OCG imports in the Lightning Overdrive booster set, those cards being new Link monsters and a new spell for the Sunavalon deck, a deck that came out during Ghosts from the Past, so a fairly new deck, and one that was used by Spectre in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Variants anime. This new support definitely does add for the consistency for the playstyle of the Sunavalon deck, which is just to special summon out a bunch of different plant-type Link monsters using all of the different Sunseed and Sunvine monsters we run in the main deck, along with the different spells, and overall generic plant support to help support the playstyle of the deck. So let's go ahead and get started with the deck profile. So for the actual Sunavalon related monsters, we're running 3 Sunseed Genius Loci. With this one, it's basically just your level 1 normal monster. It's very easy to summon out with cards like Unexpected Die or even Lone Fire Blossom, and needed for a good majority of the different cards that we run in the extra deck, including Sunavalon Dryas, our main go-to starting Link monster, needing a level 4 lower plant type monster. So when we can set up our Sunseed Genius Loci, it just helps for those plays, or even summoning out our Sunvine Thrasher, which needs 1 plant normal monster, and our Genius Loci fits that description quite easily. For the next Sunseed, we're also running 3 Sunseed Shadow. If you control a plant normal monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. You can banish this card from your graveyard to target 1 Link 2 or lower Sunavalon or Sunvine monster you control. Special summon 1 monster from your hand, name with basically a different name from that card to the field. So with it, you have the option with this setup of your play, but negates effects. So with it, you get the 1 monster with the same name from your X deck, but negates effects, and special summon for the rest of the turn, except for plant monsters. You can only use each of the effects of Sunseed Shadow once per turn. But with it, it's just an easy special summon when you control your Genius Loci on the field. So very, very useful for that setup. And with this card, given the option that you can summon out multiples of those Link monsters, means that you can just use them for some of the bigger plays, including going into some of our bigger boss monsters like Sunavalon Dryad Trentier on the extra deck also. For some of our lower numbers for the Sunseed and Sunvine monsters, I run 2 Sunseed Twin. If this card is normal or special summon while you control a Sunavalon Link monster, you can target 1 level 4 lower plant normal monster in your graveyard and special summon it, but banish it with this card in your graveyard and 1 Link monster you control. And if you have 2 or more plant Link monsters with the same name to each other in the graveyard, you can special summon 1 of them. So it basically goes off the name of Sunseed Twin, with this card being able to target the level 4 lower plant normal monster in your graveyard and special summon it, and you can banish this card from your graveyard and 1 Link monster you control to get those other 2 monsters with the same name back onto the field to reuse for more and more resources. I only run 2 though. It's really all you need for that setup. You rely more on Shadow and also your Genius Loci for more of the initial setup for all your different plant plays. And I also run 2 Sunvine Maidens. These will finish the number of different Sunseed and Sunvine monsters we run for the main deck. When your opponent activates a card or effect that targets a plant monster you control, that was special summoned from the extra deck. Quick effect, you can special summon this card from your hand. If you do negate that effect, you can only use this effect of Sunvine Maiden once per turn, and your opponent cannot target Sunavalon or Sunvine spell traps you control with card effects. So more of a defensive kind of card to rely on, stopping your opponent from targeting your own Sunavalon cards on the field. And most of them are protected themselves just by making your opponent direct attack you and then gaining more and more protective plays from them. So this is more for protecting your continuous spell or traps that you'll keep on the field. But even this special summon can be used as more of another resource on the field also. With the good majority of the cards in the deck being plant-type monsters, you definitely have to run 3 Lone Fire Blossom. This staple just helps to grab any of the Sunavalon monsters that we spoke of and using them on the field. And it can also set up more of, Lone Fire Blossom in the graveyard, because you can tribute Lone Fire Blossom and go into another Lone Fire Blossom, getting all 3 into the graveyard, and then just relying on 1 of our monsters, which can be any of the cards you need for your Link monster setup. For more plant monsters to use also, I'm trying out 3 Evil Thorn in the deck. I've definitely been liking it. It's just a level 1 plant monster. You can tribute this card to inflict 300 damage to your opponent. And if you do, you can special summon up to 2 Evil Thorn from your deck in attack position, but their effects cannot be activated. So it doesn't matter that you won't be giving them any more burn damage. You'll just be summoning them onto the field as plant resources to use. You can even summon out one of these cards with your Lone Fire Blossom or 1-for-1. There's no specifications that the card has to be originally normal summoned. It's just that tribute effect that you can only use once on the the field. So 3 Evil Thorn. The only problem is if you open up multiples of this card, obviously, but very rarely did I see that happen as often as I would have not wanted it to have happened. For more special summon options with the graveyard setup, I also run 2 Rose Lover. You can banish this card from your graveyard to special summon 1 plant monster from your hand, and if you do, it is unaffected by your opponent's trap effects this turn. You're going to use this effect of Rose Lover once per turn. So if you set up Rose Lover in the graveyard, even just summoning this card out and using itself for a link summon can be a big play, since you can even just use it for your Sunavalon Dryas to link summon it out. And then you can just banish it from the graveyard and summon out another, let's say, Sun Seed monster you have in your hand onto the field also. Just need the 2 though. Other than that, it's more just, like I said, used for those graveyard plays, and you can easily set it up with cards like 1-for-1 into the graveyard for all of those different plays. And also, to finish off the monsters in the main deck, I also run 3 Rescue Rabbit. Now, our main go-to monster is a normal monster, so just being able to summon 2 of this card out with Rescue Rabbit makes this card a 3-of for that. So you can hit plenty of those targets. Even if you open up Unexpected Die, you can special summon the first of the Genius Loci onto the field, and then use the Rescue Rabbit to get the final 2, having 3 monsters as resources. I run the 3 Rescue Rabbit just so we can see the card more often. It is the only normal monster we run, but once you get that combo started, that's really all you need. You just want to see more and more of those cards available and searched out into the deck with Rescue Rabbit. And that is it for the monsters. Moving on now to the spells. For the continuous spells for the Sunavalon, I run 3 Sunvine Shrine. Activate this card by sending 1 card from your hand to the graveyard. While you control a Sunavalon Link monster, you cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck except for plant monsters. And once per turn, during your main phase, you can special summon 1 level 4 lower plant monster from your graveyard. And once per turn, during your opponent's end phase, you can send this face-up card to the graveyard. Then target 1 continuous trap in your graveyard and set it in your spell and trap card zone. So the continuous trap we'll search out with this card is Sunavalon Bloom. And being able to activate this card by sending a plant means that we can set up other plants in our graveyard to use for those special summon plays by relying on our Sunvine Shrine. But also, just for the fact that it gives us more special summons and setup for our link plays, makes it a 3-of, because then you'll just send 1 to the graveyard to set up the trap, so you'll need another one to activate later on also. For the new card from Lightning Overdrive, I also run 2 Sunvine Crossbreed, Sunvine Crossbreed is how you pronounce it. You tribute 1 link monster, then target 1 other plant monster in your graveyard, special summon it, but negate its effects. You can only use this effect of Sunvine Crossbreed once per turn. So, regardless of what you summon out, you can always use it for a different resource. You can even have a Link 1 monster. You just need to summon 1 link monster. So it could be a Link 1 link monster on the field, and then you can get a higher link monster on the field, which then you can use to go into bigger and bigger link monsters. And a big part of those special summons can also rely on the new Sunavalon, which is Sunavalon Daphne, and the link arrows for this card and the setup you may want to do with it, which we'll go over when we get to the extra deck. For more special summoning of our normal monsters already mentioned with Rescue Rabbit, but Unexpected Die is a big help. If you just activate this card first and get your first Genius Loci, you can then summon out Rescue Rabbit and get the final 2, giving you 3 plant monsters on the field with access to a good majority of the extra deck. So a 3-of for sure. All you have to do is control no monsters and you can activate this card. For another good one that definitely works well with the burn damage we take with some of our extra deck monsters, and that is Where Art Thou? If you control a face-up level 1 monster, you add 1 level 1 monster from your deck to your hand. So having access to the good majority of the different monsters, including Evil Thorn in the main deck. And like I said, we can avoid that burn damage with one of the link monsters we go into, which I'll go over once again with the extra deck. So 3 Where Art Thou, just like Unexpected Die, is awesome stable support for the deck, just for all that search power that all these cards can provide. For more special summon power, I also run 2 Super Solar Nutrient. You activate this card by tributing 1 level 2 or lower plant monster and special summon 1 plant type monster from your hand or deck whose level is less than or equal to that tributed monster, plus 3. So when this card is and leaves the field, you destroy that monster. But plus 3 of that monster just gives us more and more search for a good majority of the cards going into Lone Fire Blossom for that play. That's why I like running 2 of it. So with all of our different lower level monsters we have in the deck, and being able to summon a level who's less than or equal to the level of the tributed monster, plus 3, is just an added bonus altogether. For more special summoning and the fact that this is a link-heavy deck, I also run 2 World Legacy Succession. This special summon card comes in handy with all the different link arrow positions we have, whether it be with Dryads or even Dryanome or our Dryad Trentier. They all point to our main monster zone, so that just makes an easy special summon for any of our other link monsters we may run in the graveyard to co-link, or even just to special summon a main deck monster to one of those spots to then use for a link summon. And then for some of the one-ofs, I also run 1-1-for-1. The majority of the monsters we run in our main deck are level 1 monsters, making this a very vital card for that special summon. Also, 1 Call by the Grave for stopping our opponent's own graveyard plays, and 1 Monster Reborn. I thought of running Foolish Burial for more graveyard setup with our plants like Rose Lover. If you wanted to run Foolish Burial, you could take out the Call by the Grave instead and run that for it. And then for the traps, the only traps we're running because it's recyclable is our Sunavalon Bloom. When this card is activated, if you control a Link 4 or higher plant monster, when this effect resolves, negate the effects of all face-up monsters your opponent currently controls. And during damage calculation, if your plant Link monster battles, you can activate this effect. It gains attack equal to the combined attack of monsters it currently points to until the end of this turn. And this effect remains even if this card leaves the field. You can only use this effect of Sunavalon Bloom once per turn, and you can activate 1 Sunavalon Bloom per turn. It's recyclable with the continuous spell, like I spoke of, and just being able to boost up our Link 4 plays with all the different monsters that points to it. That can become a true powerhouse depending on how many Thrashers we have set up and all the other monsters' power as well. And it's the big play you'll rely on with Sunavalon Bloom and all the different monsters that your Link 4 points to. And that is it for the main deck. We'll now move on to the extra deck for our beginning setup, and that is the tree monsters. I'm running 2 Sunavalon Dryads. I thought about running 3 of this card. If I were to run 3, I would reduce the number of either Drynome or Dryads and add in a 3rd copy. If this card's Link Summon in the extra monster zone using Sunseed Genius Loci as material, you can add 1 Sunvine Spell or Trap from your deck to your hand. This card cannot be targeted by attacks, but it does not prevent your opponent from attacking you directly. And once per turn, if you take battle or effect damage, you can gain that much in life points, and then special summon 1 Sunvine monster from your extra deck. So the burn damage comes down to Where Art Thou as well, being able to regain that battle damage you took from your Where Art Thou. I said battle damage, but effect damage for this card, giving you more of a play setup with that search as well, because then you'll rely on searching out Genius Loci, and then you can summon out that monster, and then that would just avoid the damage altogether. But most of the time, if you add it to your hand, you're not going to be able to normal summon it. You'll special summon it onto the field, and with that resource, Dryas having a search and the protection against burn damage, and then also being able to set up one of our other Sunvine monsters, makes it a definite staple as one of the easiest Link monsters to go into. Going up from there, we run 2 Sunavalon Dryads. The Link 2 monster cannot be targeted for attacks, and once again prevents the attacking you directly. Twice per turn, if you take battle damage or effect damage, you can gain that much life points, and if you do, special summon 1 Sunvine monster. So just a stronger version of Dryas in the deck also, with the next boosted version being Dryanome. With this one, it cannot be targeted for attacks, but once again, the attack directly still applies. You can gain that much life when you take battle or effect damage, and special summoning still a Sunvine from your extra deck. And when a monster that this card points to is targeted for attack, you can negate the attack, and if you do, move that monster you control to another one of your main monster zones. So just being able to co-link those monsters with this card makes it all the more protection of a setup card, having better arrows to work with than Dryads and also our Dryas at times, since all 3 of the arrows are pointing down. And then lastly, for our boss monster, 1 Sunavalon Dryad Trentier for the tree monsters, having the protection by card effects as well for this card, and also being able to, when it's Link Summon, add a Sunavalon Spell or Trap from our deck to our hand. So that boost is very, very useful for any of our plays as well, and just being able to have the more powered up version with the Trap card. You don't really need 1 though, that's the most you ever see yourself going into this Link monster. With some of the other setup, where the easier Link monsters being our Sunvine Thrasher, needing the plant normal monster, or just special summoning this card off of our Dryas. This is more of the power boost card, being able to reach some pretty high attack based on, you know, the Link ratings of our other monsters on the field. So that with it, you can also have the combined total when we use our Sunavalon Bloom for our Sunvine monsters. But like I said, it's the easiest Link monster to go into otherwise, and one you'll definitely rely on for those power boosts, so you definitely want to run 3 of it. I also run 1 Sunvine Gardener for more of the protection plays when relying on our tree to protect us, but more of the defense capabilities that this card provides also. I also run 2 Sunavalon Daphne. I thought of reducing this card to 1. If you do so, you can run a 2nd copy of the next card, which is Sunavalon Malias for those plays. But with this card cannot be targeted for attacks, but does not prevent your opponent from attacking you directly. And you contribute 1 monster, then target 2 plant Link monsters in your graveyard, except for Daphne, returning them to the extra deck. And you can only use this effect once per turn. So not only will the Link arrows help for a little more setup, but they also just provide that recycle power for some of our lower number of Sunavalon monsters. Being able to recycle them back means that we can also then again reuse them for the Link plays. and I run the one Sunavalon Melias, which I spoke of before, just needing 2 plant monsters, including a link monster. If this card is link summoned, you can special summon 1 Sunseed Genius Loci from your graveyard, and this card cannot be targeted for attacks, but does not prevent your opponent from attacking you directly. And once per turn, you can target 1 Sunvine link monster you control, but this card points to, and for this turn, that card can attack a number of times up to the battle phase, up to the number of Sunavalon link monsters you currently control. So the more link monsters, the stronger you'll make your Sunvine Thrasher to attack into your opponent. With those multiple attacks and the boost this card can provide, it makes Melias a scary setup for sure. And just with the co-link option with Daphne, even better also. And just for the fact that sometimes you can, with these arrows, achieve the extra link. With these arrows pointing, if you have the second Melias, you can have your setup for Dryas here, and then having 1 more Melias in this spot, if you place it here instead of the second Daphne. And then the final spot for a Thrasher, you can have the extra link that I spoke of before if you go through with the additional plant link monsters on the field and lock your opponent out of the extra deck. It's the scary thing that both of these cards provided for the deck. But the last monster for the extra deck is Bengal Lancer, the Resurgent, another plant boss monster. Just great setup for it together. If you don't have this card, you can try, Borolo Dragon, but also trying to go for more of a pure plant-based deck to not lock us out of any of the plays this deck is capable for. So if you can pick one of these up, I definitely do recommend it for the deck. And then as for the go-to plays, as I spoke of before, a big one is just relying on your Sunseed Genius Loci. Summoning out to the field can give you access to your first of the starting tree monsters, which then when you link summon with it, given more of a plant setup when it's link summoned in the extra monster zone using Sunseed Genius Loci, you can add one of your Sunvine spell traps, including Sunvine Crossbred. Late game comes in handy a lot, so you can use it for the bigger plays, but Sunvine Shrine will be your main one you go into, setting up your graveyard to then special summon more of your monsters onto the field. With this card being able to target 1 level 4 lower plant monster, it can then give you your setup to go into your Link 2 monster, and then from there, more and more co-link options to rely on when you summon out your Link 2 monster. And it all comes down to just if you have more and more resources to summon more and more plants onto the field and keep raising and level the different trees for these Sunavalon monsters up to our main go-to boss monster. But also, like I said, you can rely on the extra link, co-link option with these additional arrows added into the deck. But that is it for the deck profile. I hope you all enjoy the video. It's definitely an interesting deck, and like I said, with the new Arrow edition, it definitely, raises more capabilities for a lot of different plays in the deck. Just like when Spectre fought Lightning in Yu-Gi-Oh! Brains, was able to get the extra link on, him. It definitely shut him out for some plays there, not even being able to use the extra deck, and you can always try it with this deck as well. But until next time, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and Kira Twig out.